You gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities, Wednesday, June 25th. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Can't believe it's already close to the end of June. A lot to talk about here on the show today. First and foremost, I want to thank you if you're watching on YouTube. Thank you so much. If you have subscribed, thank you. If you have not subscribed, shame on you. Subscribe ASAP. Help us out. Spread the word on the show we're doing here in the Quad Cities each and every weekday at 10 a.m. Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Also, we are live on X once again. X has been very, very good to us, so we appreciate any and everyone that watches us on X. And also, you can check out the show each and every day on the podcasting platforms as well. So anywhere you get your podcasts, you can check out Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, Podbean, Spotify, Apple, you name it, we should be up there. If there's a podcasting platform that you cannot find us, let us know. We'll make sure we get on there ASAP. But we appreciate everyone who downloads and listens to the podcast version of the show as well. A lot to get to here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities. We got a guest in studio and a whole bunch more coming up in just a little bit. My good friend BrianStocking is here. If you know BrianStocking, you know he is one of a kind. The one and only BrianStocking always has a take on sports. He's been covering sports in the Quad Cities for longer than I have. So we'll have thoughts and takes from BrianStocking here in just a little bit. Also coming up around the 11 o'clock hour, we'll be joined by Andrew Lehman from the John Deere Classic. The JDC is now only a few days away. Everyone's super excited. Added a couple great names to the field yesterday, and Tom Kim, and the other one is, I'm blanking on the other one. Yes, Denny McCarthy. See, the stockpile's already paying off as well. In fact, I think Denny's got a good chance to win it one of these years, maybe this year. So we'll talk to him about the last-minute preparations when it comes to the John Deere Classic. Won't keep him too long because he's a busy man. It's also Wednesday, which means it's Steamwheeler Wednesday. The Wheelers got to get back on track. They're back at home this weekend. Their general manager, Destiny Brown, will join us later on in the show as well. All of that, and Greg Armstrong will be here with an announcement when it comes to local sports right here in the Quad Cities. We're excited to tell you about something that we're joining up and starting. So we'll have that for you coming up in a little bit as well. But as we do, we're going to start with the headlines of the day, and a lot of news in the world of sports to get to. And I want to start with some intriguing news and some exciting news for Iowa fans here in the Quad Cities. Coming up this year, there's a new home for the Hawkeye Radio Network right here in the Quad Cities. No longer on WOC 1420. The new home for Hawkeye Radio here in the Quad Cities, just announced today, Vintage Radio 107.7 WQUD FM in the Quad Cities. I think it's really cool for Iowa Athletics to get on the FM side of the dial, something that intrigues a lot of people, excites a lot of people around the Quad Cities as well. You can catch everything you need when it comes to Iowa athletics. They'll air Iowa football, Hawk Talk with Kirk Ferentz, Iowa men's basketball, Hawk Talk with Ben McCullum, Iowa women's basketball games when they don't conflict with the men. So the vast majority of Iowa women's basketball will now be on Vintage Radio 107.7 WQUD right here in the Quad Cities, and also Hawk Talk with Jan Jensen. So a lot to get to when it comes to Hawkeye Radio here in the Quad Cities. An exciting new change for radio and Iowa athletics here in the Quad Cities. Of course, that's the new home of our goofball, Pat Anger, who will be calling Iowa football games alongside the great Gary Dolphin this year as well. So exciting news. Hawkeye Radio Network now on Vintage Radio 107.7 WQUD. Go ahead and when you get in your car today, go ahead and switch the radio. You know, you have your favorites already set. If you don't have Vintage Radio on there, get it set. Do that ASAP. And I'm one of those guys, and I'll talk with BrianStocking about it in just a little bit. But I'm out and about on Saturdays. Sometimes I'm not able to catch Iowa games, and also when it comes to the basketball side of things as well. So it'll be really cool to have a new home for that as well. So get that set on your dial. 107.7 WQUD FM. Really cool stuff when it comes to a new home for a Hawkeye Radio Network right here in the Quad Cities. Of course, Iowa basketball, their workouts are underway. We had Cooper Koch on earlier this week talking about the Ben McCullum era. There's a new energy, a new excitement behind Iowa basketball. And one of the reasons why is there's a new face to Iowa basketball. Not just Ben McCullum, but Bennett Sturtz comes over from Drake, one of the best players in the entire country. One of the most sought after transfer prospects out there this year. And obviously he followed his coach. He came to Iowa, but he brings a lot of energy and excitement. And he's not the only Drake player. There's 6 Drake players that have made their way to the University of Iowa. And yesterday, some of those players talked with the media, and they talked about the familiarity when it comes to those guys and Ben McCullum coming over from Drake. Take a listen.
It's huge, and it brings that culture, and it's probably hard with one person or 2 people, but with 6 guys, it's super easy, and we're all meshing well right now.
I mean, it speeds up the learning process. You know, one, just how competitive they are and how they can teach the other guys how to compete, and then 2, just learning the system of what we do and how we interact and all those different things. It speeds it up quite a bit, so you're able to scrimmage a lot more, whereas most teams are doing a lot of individual development in the summer. We're scrimmaging, we're competing, we're kind of getting after each other, which has been good.
It has been good in Iowa City. Of course, Cooper Koch was on the show on Monday. Go check out that interview. He talked about the workouts being so intense that he vomited after the first one. So I'm getting plenty of attention on social media with that as well. But Cooper, a great interview from Monday. Go check that out as well. Other basketball news, the NBA draft is tonight, and the Fighting Illini will have 2 players drafted in the first round in the NBA draft, most likely, for the first time in, I think, ever. And for the first pair of one-and-dones at Illinois. So exciting for them. We'll check that out. We'll figure out where they go. But both Casper Yakachonis and Will Riley should hear their names early in the NBA draft, the first round of the draft tonight, starting, I believe, at 7 p.m. Also, speaking of Illinois basketball down in Champaign, really excited to have Shauna Green on the show yesterday. Gracious enough for her to give me almost a half hour of her time, and she's done an amazing job. The Clinton native has gone to Illinois and started winning immediately, and they hadn't won in forever. They hadn't won an NCAA tournament game in 25 years. They did that last season. They've been to the NCAA tournament 2 of the first 3 seasons under Coach Green, and I asked her what it was like taking the job and heading to Champaign 3+ years ago.
I've said this, and I don't mean this in disrespect, and our AD has said this. Actually, we were in Chicago last week doing some stuff, and he said this. It's probably the worst P4 job that was, out there. I mean, that's where the program was, and just losing. And a lot of people said I was crazy for taking it, but I saw an opportunity. I saw, yes, a challenge, but I saw and knew we had the best AD in the country in Josh Whitman. I knew the resources he was going to put behind it. I knew the facility that I'm sitting in right now is one of the best, if not the best in the country. And I really believed in this area that we could go and recruit.
And that's exactly what she's done. She's recruited really well. They've won. They have the number 8 recruiting class in the country coming in next year. They've added a couple transfers. Take some time. Go check out the interview yesterday, the Tuesday edition of Off the Air with Shauna Green. It was really, really cool stuff. I loved her talking also about the old days in the MAC. And I'll talk with BrianStocking about that in a second, because she talked about going to the pit and beating North Scott and them having to take signs away from the students because it was that heated and all those kind of things. So a really cool conversation with her. Go check that out right now. Don't do it now. Do it after the show, but do it later on and go check out that show as well. Some other notes from the world of sports before we get rocking and rolling today. Bettendorf linebacker Gavin Stecker has been offered at the University of Iowa. I have no idea what he's going to do. I don't know where he's going to commit, all those kind of things. Really talented young man, 3-star prospect, but he announced yesterday on social media he has received an offer from the University of Iowa. Now, I would caution linebackers from Bettendorf, they go to Iowa. It does work out. They do play well, but just they also, it goes downhill after they quit playing. So I would caution that as well. But congratulations to Gavin Stecker. Also, late night out in Seattle, the Fever winning yesterday. Kaylin Clark wasn't very good. Only scored 6 points. Luckily, Aaliyah Boston was fantastic. Kelsey Mitchell was fantastic as well. They win, and the news this morning now is DeWanna Bonner has officially been waived. She announced yesterday she would not be coming back from the team, wants to go someplace else. Kind of weird. Just the whole thing's weird. We'll talk with BrianStocking about that as well. He'll probably say things that are even more weird, but we'll talk about that coming up a little bit. And then last but not least, before we get to our guest co-host from the day, I guess, is we got to talk a little bit of baseball. Cubs Cards at Busch Stadium last night. This is the play of the game because it's 7-5, a sac fly, runner tags to go to third. PCA probably forgot how many outs there were, and Mason Wynn comes all the way around from second to score to make it 8-5. That ended up being the game-winning run. Cardinals win this one 8-7 last inning, tying and go ahead and run on, and check out the play by Nolan Arenado, making the nice play to end it. The Cardinals win the first 2 games of the 4-game series. Cubs have now lost 3 straight, 5 of their last 6. And the lead in the NL Central is only 2.5 games over those rival Redbirds. So I know Cub fans, my own Cub fans in the house, not very happy. And I have a feeling we're going to go to the man sitting next to me, BrianStocking, because you're a Cub fan too, Brian.
The June swoon, the accursed June swoon again.
Is that a thing still? I remember growing up with the June swoon. That's still a thing.
It's still a thing. Whenever the Cubs come undone in June, it's always that June swoon. That accursed June swoon.
My dad always would talk about it growing up and all those kind of things. So, by the way, this is BrianStocking. Anyone who doesn't know BrianStocking, he has been working in Quad City media for
28 years. So
28
this will be
years.
my 29th.
You started interning under Dan Pearson.
Yep.
I started interning under Dan Pearson. Now, that was obviously different times. I'm a little younger than you. Not too much younger.
Summer of 96.
Summer of 96. I remember it well. Those summer of 96.
Yeah. You were probably out playing baseball.
You started then, and we haven't been able to get rid of you since. But you spent so many years over at KWQC with the Highlight Zone. We finally convinced you to come over to WQAD.
Just finished my 7th year, so this will be
year.
Yeah, I'll be doing. This will be number 8 coming up.
You're gonna? You sure? They want you back?
I hope. They haven't told me not to come back.
No, I'm kidding. So obviously, and a teacher in the Davenport Public Schools. So
this will be my 29th year this upcoming year.
And you must have started when you were. And by the way, before we do anything, and I meant to get a cake, but it's a little past that time. You turned 50 recently.
Yes, June the 1st. I spent my 50th birthday at the Vibrant for all 3 Davenport School graduations. So.
No kidding.
Started with we started the day with North, then we had West, and then we had Central.
Okay, so with that being said, do you feel any different now that you're 50?
Well, a little bit. I mean, I'm not as young as I used to be. I mean, I'm not 30, but I'm not 90 either.
But
so.
you don't feel different from like when you turned 49 to 50.
No, I didn't go, oh my God.
Yeah,
I'm 50.
it's not like it all hit all of a sudden.
No,
but
no, the old age has been there. Yeah, the old age is there.
You've been going downhill for a while. It wasn't just in June. No, I'm kidding.
Have you seen? Yeah, you've probably seen me run.
No, I want to.
No, you don't want to see me run.
What did I say the other day? I was trying to figure out who would win a race. You or somebody else. I can't remember what it was.
I think it was it Larry?
Yeah, it might have been Larry.
that
Was
the
that at the golf outing?
Yeah, it was at the golf outing.
And
that was a great golf outing, by the way.
And I want to thank you for helping out. We'll talk about that coming up in the show. Because so basically, Stockpile's just my. I look like a bum today. I didn't even dress up. I got like.
Well, you got a trip coming up.
I've been running around crazy. I almost have forgot about doing the show.
You got 4 kids. And
I almost turned things over to you. I almost just said Stockpile sit in the. One thing I'm going to get is I bought like a stool when I started this thing. I was like, I'll look good with a stool. It's the most uncomfortable stool in the world. And I sit here for like hours. I come up here at like 7:30 in the morning, and I usually get out of here by like 1:30 or 2. And I get up, and I'm just like, so I got to get a more comfortable chair.
What you need to get is one of those things, a stool where there's like an arm, like sort of a back and all that.
Yeah.
Because in the press box at North at baseball, that's what they have. They have a chair like that, and it is. I mean, it helps the back out immensely.
Yeah.
I mean,
I need to.
When you're doing a lot of games like I'll be doing this weekend, that is that and the fan. You gotta have a fan on these hot days.
I hear that are you at North this weekend?
I'll be there all weekend. Yes.
Okay. I was told. Now I wasn't told. It was on the show. I don't know if you saw Derek Steckline on the show.
I did see.
He said that the concession stand at North is one of the best in the entire.
It is. We got world famous tenderloins, hot dogs. We got walking tacos. We got water, sport drinks, ice cold soda pop.
Ice cold soda. What's wrong with you?
That's how I've always taught.
Do you eat any of those things?
Huh?
Do you eat any of? Huh? Do you eat any of those things?
I usually get a hot dog and a drink during a game. Yeah.
Okay. Because you've been known to be a picky eater.
But you gotta eat during the games. I mean,
yes.
was
worried.
You can't not eat during the games.
I was worried that you weren't eating.
No,
because you don't like. Okay, let's get back. All right. So happy birthday to Stockpile. If you didn't know that, all those kind of things. 50 years old is awesome. The Cubs.
Oh man.
Where are you at with these guys? Because is it fair to say you're a pessimistic Cub fan?
Yes, because I grew up. My mom is a diehard Cubs fan. She was a bleacher bum in 69 and 70.
Okay.
And my bedtime stories were of the 69 Cubs because that was her favorite player is Ron Santo. She loves Ron Santo.
Does she love the player? Or did she love the dreamy looking Ron Santo?
All I know is she loves Ron Santo.
Okay, all right.
That was back then you could get playing cards or whatever on the back of things, and one day she got it and she just thought he was the best. And Santo played with a passion that a lot of players don't have. So I was told about Ernie Banks, Mr. Cub, Glenn Becker, Don Kissinger, Ron Santo, Randy Hutley, Billy Williams, Jim Hickman, Fergie, Bill Hands. The 69, she just, told me about the 69 Cubs and the fact that one day at Wrigley, Doc Ellis and Leo DeRoche almost got into a fight before the game when exchanging lineups. So, so I got to be a Cubs fan then. And, when I was little, we got the Cub game, a lot of Cub games on WQAD. They would show the games from Wrigley.
Really?
And the screen would be very, because they were just pretty much taking the feed and re-airing it.
Yeah.
So but for a 5 or 6 year old, that was big. That was big to see the Cubs. So I became a Cubs fan, and then of course the summer of '84 with the Sandberg game, which the anniversary was just the other day. The Proof There Is a God game, because the Cubs were playing Montreal, and There was a line drive. Pete Rose line one off of Lee Smith. Dave Owen caught 3 to first. Double play. Cubs win. Harry Carey goes, "What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win." So 84 was, and then you just, as a
Stockpile.
kid, you start getting into it.
I asked you about what you think of the Cubs, and you've gone into the history of the Chicago Cubs.
No, you want to know why I was a Cubs fan. So you asked if I was a pessimistic Cubs fan. So
yeah, that's true.
I'm very concerned because the Cubs had that big 8 to 9 game lead, and now it looks like it was done with mirrors because the Cardinals are.
But hold on, you're talking the 8 to 9 game lead with the Cardinals,
right?
But they had always been teams like Milwaukee's right there.
Milwaukee was back even further back than the Cardinals.
But you knew they were going to get challenged.
I knew they were going to get challenged, but I thought maybe in July.
Do you
they
think
would
the
get challenged.
Cardinals are better than the Cubs? This is
right now, yeah.
I know they won last night, but if you had to pick which team is better for the postseason, better for the stretch, like lineup wise, pitching wise, I'm worried about the Cubs pitching.
I think the Cubs have a lot of issues with their pitching, and I know that a lot of Cub fans are saying, "Hey, we're going to get Shada back," and they are going to get him back. I would not pitch him though in St. Louis on Thursday.
Why?
It's a day game. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be humid.
It's summertime.
They
play baseball in the day.
But the Cubs' next game is in Houston. They play 3 in Houston. I would have them go to Houston, pitch in that.
It's usually cold in Houston this time of year, isn't it?
They're in a dome. Houston's got a dome.
Minute Maid's open, isn't it?
Minute Maid, I think, is a dome, and so it's gonna.
I'm not going to argue with you, but
it's
you're probably right.
It's a better climate control. It's a better pitcher park. I think you start them in Houston that way, and also
Don't you want your best player in the biggest game of in a big game?
You also
series?
face the Cardinals 3 more series. Don't give them a free look now. The Cubs play them the 4th of July weekend. They play them mid-August. They play them late September. I'd rather have the Cardinals get maybe their first or only second look at them in late September or in mid-August than right now, giving them a free look right now.
Okay, so if you're Jed Hoyer. First off, I understand kind of what you're saying, but I would still pitch my best pitcher against the rival when he can get, especially if they're like, God forbid,
if they lose tonight, they could get and they get swept. There's going to be people, looking for the top floor at the Sears building.
Stop! Nobody's going to jump off the Sears tower. Okay, but you get overly. Well, you would admit that you get a little doom and gloom sometimes.
Yes.
Okay. If they go through every team's going to go through a rough patch.
Oh yeah, it's 162 games.
Without
season.
getting too up and down, what if you're Jed Hoyer? Do you need to do? Because the trade deadline's 3 weeks away.
Trade deadline's July 31st.
Okay, so it's still
they've
a month.
still got a month. I would definitely be looking at if any team releases a pitcher, maybe look at them, see if. Because
obviously, you need pitching.
The Cubs definitely need pitching. They need both starting and relief.
How many starters do they need?
I would probably say. Well, see, I'm not a big fan of Jamison Talion. I don't think
it's tough to argue after last night's game.
Well, but I'm not. I don't think he's that great of a pitcher. So I think the Cubs are looking at maybe 2-3 pitchers because they still have to. Because Colin Wright will replace Steele. And there's talk that they could be sending Ben Brown down because they're gonna have to make a move to get Shada back off the injured list. I almost said disabled list because that's what I grew up with.
You can do that.
But they're gonna have to make a move, and the rumor is that Ben Brown's gonna get sent down after this weekend. Cade Horton's pitched well. Matthew Boyd has pitched all right. So, but I think the Cubs have to get maybe 2 pitchers, but there's really not
do they need more starting pitching or do they need more relief pitching?
I think they need starters. I'd rather go start with starters and then go to relief. There's talk that they want to get Sandy Alcantara from the Marlins, and he's got control. They got control. The Marlins have his control till I think 2027 or 2028, but he's not very good this year. He's 4-8. His ERA is around 7. He averages less than 5 innings a start. And what the Marlins are going to want for him, I don't want to give up the fruits of the farm.
So that was my question. Is this the year as a Cub fan you want to see them go for? And you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know.
Let's say Paul in Pittsburgh's pitcher.
Paul Skeens.
Paul Skeens was available, and you'd have to give up the farm to get him. Would you do it? Now, mind you, he's young.
I know,
and one of the
I
best
know.
pitchers. But I'm just saying, how much do you want to go all in? Do you want to put all your chips
Well, the
in? Or do
question,
you want to just put some
the thing
in?
is, I heard that the Cubs. This is an all-in year for the Cubs because, a lot of Cub fans, and myself included, don't think they'll re-sign Kyle Tucker because Tom Ricketts is cheap.
I think they'll want to. I just don't know if they'll be able.
Want and able are two different things.
Yeah.
Kyle Tucker's probably going to want 30 to 40 million. I'm not sure Tom Ricketts wants to open his checkbook that big. And if he go, and then this is Jed Hoyer's contract year. Are they going to extend Jed Hoyer or not? There's a lot of Cub fans that want to see Jed Hoyer on the next train out of Chicago. I think he's done all right, but I think the Cubs need to really prove it this year.
Do they go all in or not?
I think they will, but I would not because they got a kid on the farm. Cody something. He's
but
doing
how
really
many
well.
kids on the farm stockpile have the Cubs that haven't panned out? But then again, you have the flip side of it. You look at the Mets who went for it. They sent over this young player named Pete Crow Armstrong.
And
that ends up. So I get that flip side of it, but I think that they need pitching. I get that. And when you lose your best pitcher, arguably your best pitcher to start the season, you have to replace him in some way, shape, or form.
I think, and people will say I've lost my mind, but
people do say that.
Yeah, well, I would trade Seiya Suzuki. And the reason is he's never been this hot offensively. He doesn't play the field. He's only a DH. I think he's only played 5 games out in the field. He's essentially a one position player. I would trade him and get that pitcher that you think will put you over the top in a 1-for-1 swap. That way you're not going after the farm system, because there's a kid at Iowa. I think it's at Iowa that they were mentioning yesterday that the Cubs could trade as part of a package for Alcantara on 670 AM, the score. But he's hitting 20 some odd home runs. I think he's an outfielder, so I wouldn't be giving him up. Because especially if you lose Tucker, you need someone to put there also.
Yeah, no, I get it, but you can hopefully you can't look ahead to if they lose Tucker. You just got to think of playing this year. I just think it's a fun, good baseball team. They're going to have ups and downs. Trust me, they need help pitching wise, all those kind of things.
They need help pitching, and
but you're so doom and gloom.
They need relief pitching also.
You get so cranky.
I'm not cranky. Although I did hear that there's talk that Ben Brown might be they might try and get him to be the closer, because he's sort of struggle. They say he sort of struggles on days where he has to pitch, but once he's in the bullpen and that, it doesn't affect him as much. So if he's in the bullpen every day and he's only got to pitch maybe 1 or 2 innings, he can maybe hide the fact that he really doesn't have that third pitch. He has 2 pitches, and one's that great fastball he has.
Yeah. Okay, we'll wrap up the Cub talk with who wins the NL Central.
I'm gonna say the Cubs, but watch out for Cincinnati.
Watch out for Cincinnati.
They're only 5 back.
Is it wrong? Am I just a Cardinal hater that I'm not overly?
No, because you're actually like a lot of the Cardinal fans now. A lot of the Cardinal fans. If you were watching the games the other, like my mom was even saying, she watched the game. She's like, Busch was half empty.
It's always half empty.
Yeah,
it's the biggest misconception known to mankind that Cardinal fans are the best fans of baseball.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
It's simply, and the sellout streak they have, it just isn't true.
Right, and you would
unless they all dress as empty seats the whole time.
But when you look at the Cubs series, you would think though that the Cardinal series would be packed, because that's the way it's been for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
Even in years where the Cubs were down or the Cardinals were down, and the other team was up, Busch would always be sold out. Wrigley would be sold out.
Here's the thing: is the Cardinals have a great history of winning.
Yes,
and so hence the fans have come around. when they don't win very often, they're not, and they're having a good season, and they're younger and all those kind of things. They got in. I've always said about the Cardinals recently is that they're kind of stuck in purgatory, where they weren't good enough to win a World Series or do anything, but they weren't bad enough to reload,
to blow everything up,
to rebuild, and they're just kind of like middling out right there. So we'll see what they end up doing.
Well, there's several teams like that. Toronto's like that. I think Cleveland is sort of like that. Where
I think the Cubs are like that if they don't make a move.
Yeah, if the Cubs, or if the Cubs don't make a big move.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, they'll make a move, but if they don't go get a starter, I mean, I would talk to Pittsburgh. There's a kid from Iowa. His last name's Kramer. I think it's Mitch Kramer. The Pirates gave him a huge contract about 2-3 years ago, and he's a good pitcher, but they haven't done much in Pittsburgh. I would maybe go after him because I think he would be an excellent.
You need to be
fit.
the general manager of the Cubs.
No, would. I would be tarred and feathered from the Hancock Building in 2 seconds.
Why do you keep on doing bad things with buildings in Chicago? First, you're
I
jumping off the Sears Tower.
I know those buildings: the Sears Tower, the Hancock Building.
All right, what else did I want to talk to you about before? You're here the whole show.
Yeah, I'm here the whole. Coming up, which just going to drive people nuts.
I know it. Coming up in a little bit, we'll have Destiny Brown with the Quad City Steamwheelers joining us. They got a big game this weekend. Wheelers back in town, 3 of their last 4 games at home. Greg Armstrong's going to join us a little bit later on as well with a little announcement, and then also Andrew Lehman at 11 o'clock as well. So if you're watching and you're wondering what I'm stuck with Stockpile the whole time, no, not at all. I do have to thank my oldest. He made me a breakfast bowl. So when you're wondering why I'm like kind of eating, it's because he comes home from his workouts and he makes eggs. And then he's been nice enough to say, hey, Dad, you want me to bring you up with something to eat? So I got to give him a shout out when I can.
Yeah, and here's the thing. When I was in school, we never had summer. I mean, summer workouts were not the thing like they are now. I mean, football now goes year round. It used to be pretty much late June, early, July to November. And now, I mean, football is a year-round. I mean, almost every sport is year-round now, even for the high school kids.
Well, keep talking.
Well, like when you're going to be gone the next 2 days for baseball. It's Chase, right?
Yeah, 10.
10-year-old.
I didn't leave Milan.
Huh?
I didn't leave Milan when I was 10 years old.
I didn't leave Port Byron. We played all our games at Dorrance Park, and
you didn't take trips to Indiana.
No, we didn't even take a trip to Rock Island, let alone we didn't even take a trip to Moline, let alone Indiana.
I wanted to talk to you. We mentioned off this top a little bit the Iowa football radio changing from WOC, and you're an old school guy.
Yeah.
But Vintage FM 107.7, new home of Iowa football radio. That's exciting.
Yeah, and 107.7's got very good programs on. I listen to some of them. They promote businesses in Port Byron, like Rams River House. So I mean, they do a great job with local radio, and Iowa fits into their thing. And you were talking about when you're on the road, like. I go to the Iowa State games. I know the radio station in Ames. So when we're done with the game, and me and my mom get to the car, and we're waiting for we're in that traffic maelstrom to get out of the stadium, we listen to the post game show on the radio. I mean, literally, they have the post game, and then they have the reaction show. So there's times where we're still in the greater Ames area, and everything's done because it's hard to get out of the parking lot, and they've already gone through the post game show where they interview everyone and the reaction show. So I mean, and
it's funny because radio in general isn't what it used to be,
right?
But like when it comes to these kind of things.
People listen.
It's so important. Like it's part of your game day traditions. Right. It is. It's like when you're getting in the car to go up to Iowa City for an Iowa game, you start listening to the Iowa radio network.
Yeah.
When you when you get there, a lot of farmers will be out in the tractors. They can't sit there and watch the games on TV. They're listening.
Right.
They're busy families that are running around getting places. They're listening to Iowa football radio.
Like last time we went, Iowa State played at Iowa. We were trying after the game trying to find the list, and we found the Iowa radio show because we couldn't get the Iowa State one, and we're listening to the Iowa fans, complaining and moaning about the loss, 20-19. Thank God we won that game, but I don't know if we could get that lucky 2 years in a row, but we'll see what we can do. But anyway, we're listening to the game, and one of the things that I liked was the Iowa radio guys at the end of the game. They had a post game. They were talking about the post game traffic, and then they had the cops on, and they actually thanked the Iowa State cops for coming out and getting on the show and talking with them. So I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at it too. I recently did it more last year, not being as busy in the fall, where I would pair my TV to the radio and listen to, probably a little more because of Pat Anger and knowing him. But it's a great experience. It's a great game day. And you look at what they're doing now. You have Iowa football. You have Hawk Talk with Kirk Ferentz. But you're going to have the Iowa basketball for the men. But now you're going to have the Iowa women on there as well.
Yeah,
and that's
huge also.
It's a big deal because Iowa women's basketball, I know that from simply doing this show. Like, I look at numbers. I know and if we talk about Iowa women's basketball, if Rob Brooks would come on, who does Iowa radio for the ladies, the viewers would go up. It's really cool.
Is it safe to say that Iowa women's basketball has surpassed Iowa wrestling as the number 3 sport?
Oh,
I mean, I'm not trying to. I know how Iowa wrestling is and how ingrained in the university.
You'll have some people that'll say Iowa women's basketball has surpassed Iowa men's basketball for the number 2
I'm
sport.
asking you. You're the Iowa expert.
I don't know if I'm an Iowa expert,
but you know a lot about the University of Iowa. I'm just saying. I know Iowa football's number 1.
Yeah, I would say Iowa women's basketball simply because, and obviously the wrestling program has a great tradition, great history.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's a one you've done for me lately type of thing, and not like the wrestling program's been bad by any stretch. It's still really good, but we're just coming off of a back-to-back, like the Iowa women went to back-to-back national championship games.
Yeah.
And then this year they lost in the second round, but
they still had a lot.
Selling
they were on
out,
TV
they're selling out Carver Hawkeye Arena for as many games. Yes, the wrestling does well, sells out as well, but it's not as many. Like the meets and the events for the Iowa wrestling isn't nearly as many as the women. So
I remember
it's a good question.
I remember my senior year, Iowa, and I think it was Gable's last year, 96, 97. Iowa came to Iowa State for a meet like in early February or something. And I went to that. I didn't go to many Iowa State wrestling meets. That I made sure I went to. I didn't have to work it, but I was there as a spectator because of Gable and the fact that Iowa wrestling is so huge. And Iowa, of course, as they always did under Gable, as they do when they face Iowa State in wrestling, beat them. So, but Gable, I mean, the fans were in it. Gable was fired up as always, and I mean, and I will say this: I think that Dan Gable is the greatest college wrestler of all time. He's better than Sanderson.
I love how you just go into different hot topics.
Well, no, but he is, and Iowa State lost Dan Gable, and I know that there was Harold Nichols was a legend and Ames, and that Harold Nichols still coached a decade or so after Gable left, but Dan Gable, I mean, he went to Iowa and he turned that program. I mean, they weren't a bad program, but he made that he took them from, middle of the pack to one of the great to a dynasty, like a John Wooden-esque dynasty.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be facetious. What he did at Iowa, raising them from, middle of the packness to greatness, is just unparalleled.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, one last, I mean, you went into wrestling, God bless you, but we'll remind people again, it was announced today, the Hawkeye Radio Network moving to Vintage Radio 107.7 WQUD FM right here in the Quad Cities. So everything that you can check out, you can check it all out on Vintage Radio, Iowa football, Iowa men's basketball, Iowa women's basketball, the coaches shows, everything with it. on Hawkeye Radio, vintage radio. So that's exciting for the Quad Cities to have a new home for Hawkeye Radio right here in the Quad Cities. Well, Stockpile's sticking around. He's here. I don't know if he's ever going to leave, but we got plenty more to get caught up with you. I love this because it's kind of a co-host. I like that. Sometimes I get lonely up here. So Stockpile's my guest co-host today for a little while. But coming up next, the Quad City Steamwheelers back at home this week, looking to get back on track after a tough loss last week. Their general manager, Destiny Brown, will join us to talk about the Quad City Steamwheelers. That's straight ahead. You're watching Off the Air on a Wednesday right here in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Yeah, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Hey, Quad Cities, you looking for a night of action, unity, and appreciation? We've got something special for you. Saturday night, June 28th, join the Quad City Steamwheelers for Military Night as they take on the Massachusetts Pirates. We're honoring our heroes. All active duty and former military get in free. It's football, community, and a chance to show gratitude. Bring your family and friends for a night to remember. Get your tickets now at steamwheelersfootball.com/tickets. Let's stand together and cheer together.
The PGA Tour swings into the Quad Cities again this summer, and you don't want to miss it. The John Deere Classic brings golf, music, magic, and more to TPC Deer Run, July 2nd through the 6th. Wednesday, July 2nd is Youth Day, and ages 15 and under are free all week, making it perfect for the whole family. Stick around after the golf on the weekend for the concerts on the Course Series, featuring country superstar Dierks Bentley on Saturday, and Grammy Award-winning Zac Brown Band on Sunday. Come for the golf, stay for the party. Visit JohnDeereClassic.com to get your tickets before they sell out.
Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need Mobile Party Experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile Party Experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470 and book your Mobile Party Experience today. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities. Of course, Wednesdays mean Steamwheeler Wednesdays here on the show, brought to you by XUSD. And super excited this week to be joined by the nice young lady that always deals with me every week and has to put up with me finding out who's going to be on the show, who's going to be on the show. The general manager for the Quad City Steamwheeler, Destiny Brown, joins me. First and foremost, Destiny, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely happy to be here. It's been fun coordinating everybody else, but nice to have the opportunity to chat with you myself. So.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun on the show. Great to get to know the players and their backgrounds and all those kind of things as well. Before I start with the Wheelers, I know you're a Quad City native. You're a Davenport Central grad, right?
Davenport West.
Davenport West. Ooh, I said, ooh, you can't do those.
Okay.
Can't make those mistakes. So Davenport West grad. Yeah. What's it like being in your hometown, in your own area, being part of professional sports here in the Quad Cities?
I mean, it's a dream. I grew up playing sports all through, grade school, middle school, high school, and even got the chance to play at Blackhawk College here locally as well. So sports has always kind of been embedded in my lifestyle. And so to be able to go on, graduate from the University of Iowa with that sport and recreation management degree and keep my knowledge in the community and being able to touch on those connections I've made over the years and be able to just do something I love in the sporting world. It's just been an honor and a privilege.
I know you play a little basketball at Blackhawk College. Do you still get out there? Do you still play? Can you still shoot it? Can you still do those kind of things?
Oh, I can still shoot it. Yeah, Coach Ross and I, we take to the court this year. Obviously, he's a little injury.
Is that what really happened? Is that what really happened? Yeah. Did he try to guard you and you did that, didn't you?
I can't let out any secrets of the organization here.
Okay,
yeah, no.
well, I need to investigate this a little more because Coach Ross, he's not going to hear this. Who's a better shooter, you or Coach Ross?
I got the better shot, but he's better in the lane. I'll give him that. So absolutely.
I love it. Destiny Brown joining us right now and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. To be in the position you're in, Destiny, before we talk about the team and obviously a big weekend coming up and a big home stretch coming up, to be in the position you're in, to be and to be a woman in sports and to have the success that you've had, what does it mean to you? And then hopefully what does it mean to other young girls, young people watching and seeing you in the position you're at?
I mean, obviously, sports is traditionally male-dominated field, but I think especially these last 5 to 10 years, I think we've seen, obviously, an uptick in the presence of women, especially in the IFL. It's something I'm extremely proud of. We are a majority-run, league by women. There's a lot of women in the front offices, in the faces of organizations. So it's just a really neat thing, specifically at this level within this league. But also, I think just the impact of being able to, again, I get to have the luxury of being in my community, but, just among all women to be able to be in a space where I can go out and talk to kids and up and coming women who want to break into this world and give them the same message, that just when you walk into a room, know that you're meant to be there, feel comfortable in that space and be yourself. And obviously sharing that same common love for sport that, any male can and does. And so being able to just be in this space and show that, just because, you're a woman doesn't mean, make a difference these days. And you can absolutely make an impact in any space that you walk into. So that's just kind of the perk of being, in this level of sport, but also, like I said, we see it among all levels, just the dominance of women and up and coming in this or in this field. So I'm just excited to be a part of it.
I love it. And you're doing a fantastic job. I got to ask you too, you said Davenport West grad. BrianStocking's in studio with me and he floats all around. Yeah. Did you ever have Stockpile as a teacher?
Yeah, I had him as a teacher, and he also refed a lot of my high school games. Well, I can't say a lot of them, but he was a ref a time or two during my high school games, too. So I recognized him.
Be honest. Is he a pretty bad referee?
No, he was good actually. I loved having him. He was one of my favorite. I loved having him as a substitute teacher too. The class was always fun, and he always brought some energy and knowledge of sports, which was a really cool thing for me. So
I love it. I love it. Destiny, obviously the Wheelers coming back to town this weekend, back home, Vibrant Arena. I don't want to dwell on last week. What is in that organization? I know those guys are probably using that as fuel to refocus as they go down the home stretch. 9-3 still in the season. Fantastic year going. Do we just flush that one away and move on?
I think we were very blessed to say yes. Luckily, the cards of the other games fell in the on the table the way that we needed them to remain at the top of the Eastern Conference. You saw a couple of teams that you thought would walk away with the wins this weekend do the opposite. So luckily, I'd like to say it's a flush and a fluke. We weren't our best selves when we showed up out there, and we know that. And I mean, it just it was a domino effect in that sense. But I think we know where we went wrong. It was little mistakes, turnovers, fumbles, things that are absolutely preventable that would have kept us in that game and competing. So again, like I said, I think we look at it and we'd rather it happen to us now than in a playoff push. And I think it's just things that, create an opportunity to learn and grow from. Because again, as we've talked about it, we started out pretty hot this year, 6-0. And when you have seasons like that, you don't always face the same adversities as you would after you lose a game. So I think it was just another opportunity to learn and grow. And I don't think it's a reflection of our game. I think it's just a reflection of an off day, and everybody has them. I'm just glad it happened now.
I think that
rather than later.
I think it was the first off night. I would argue that the first two losses of the season, there's other probably factors in why those games didn't go the way of the Wheelers, and injuries are part of all sports. I get that, so I'm not using that as an excuse, but it was kind of the first. So obviously you've been around the team, the guys, all those kind of things. Coach Ross, I bet you they're just chomping at the bit to get back home this weekend and get back on the field. One, they want to get back on the field, but two, to get to come back home against Mass in front of these fans. That's probably hopefully going to cure a lot of any ills from last week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone's just ready to get back out there and put last week behind us and obviously continue on with that 1-0 mentality each week that we try to continue to have. Again, we were missing a couple guys again, yes, but that can't be the excuse. We got to be able to go out and win with anybody and any one of our guys. And we have the talent level to do that. So again, like I said, I think the guys, Coach Ross again as well, I'm ready to see him back on the field. I think that impacts the game a lot. Having his energy on the sideline versus actually being able to be out there with those guys, I think changes some things for us, and hopefully he'll be out there again soon too. So I just look forward to seeing the guys back here on the home turf with the community behind us, and that's when we play our best ball. So I'm excited to get that one behind us and move forward against an impressive Mass who is trying to, solidify their spot in the playoffs, because they're still in the hunt too, and they're right behind. So I mean, it's anybody's game still. So
yeah, it's always a dogfight in the IFL. A good team coming to town in Mass, and you look at it too. It kind of kicks off. Yes, there's a bye week after this one, but it kicks off. You look at the end of the season, 3 or 4 games at home, and Destiny, you could probably talk to it a little bit more. There, and in my opinion, there's been a different vibe, a different energy around this franchise this year. And that's not taking anything away from the past. I think there's always great support and always energy and all that kind of stuff, but 6-0 starts are 6-0 starts, and you get people's attention and fans. How exciting is it to know that, you, one, have your own fate in your own hands coming down the stretch, and two, it's going to be at home for the majority of it. I think the other game may be a road trip to Des Moines, which is doable and handleable. Yep. I mean, that's got to be exciting. And I know, being in the front office, you want everyone to know that this is going to be a fun couple months in the Quad Cities.
Absolutely. And I think you hit it right on the head. We definitely write our own fate here with the last 3 or 4 games being at home, and then just a short trip to Des Moines, where a lot of our fans make that trip, and they definitely come out and support us like it's a home game as well. So we, as funny as it sounds, we determine our destiny through the way that we play in these next 4 games. And again, we are slated right now with the potential at sitting at the top with a home playoff game, which has not happened since the early 2000s in the original franchise day. So there is so much excitement around that, but also trying to remain calm in it and understanding that no matter how it plays out, we want to make this push, and we're trying to bring a championship home to the Quad Cities, whether that's on the road or right here, with the trail to the championship leading through the Quad Cities. So.
Yep. Absolutely. Have you seen an uptick in excitement and tickets? And I know that there was a game earlier this year. I think 7,000 people, over 7,000 people there, and I remember having Rudd in here saying like it can be more. It can be like, I think postseason wise we can get 9,000 in that scene. Have you seen that? And also we talked with Doug Bland last week. The quicker we can get this thing wrapped up and maybe know that we're going to be at home, the quicker we can push those games as well. Kind of talk about that angle of it, because it is about getting people out in very busy times and very busy months to see a great product on the field.
Well, as you know, Quad Cities has definitely become sports central as far as baseball tournaments, softball tournaments, all things summer in that retrospect. And so with that being said, it's always difficult for us to get people to come inside when there's so much going on outside. As a Quad citizen, you know that we don't get this beautiful weather all year long, and so when we're able to get outside and we're able to go on those vacations and things like that, it gets to be completely honest, it gets more difficult to put butts in seats. But I think kind of as you spoke on, and Doug as well, that if we start to solidify that home stand of a playoff, I think we'll start to see more people buy in. Again, Quad Cities gets behind championship franchises, and it's been a while since the Quad City Steamwheelers have had the opportunity to potentially bring one of those home. So again, like I said, I hope to see an uptick in tickets as we slowly start to approach that home playoff push, hopefully. And again, though, it's all about all it takes is getting somebody to one of these games for them to get hooked. So it's just finding those ways to get people excited about coming to watch indoor football. And again, like I said, that 6-0 start definitely helped motivate people to come see what the Wheelers are doing this season. So
Destiny, you mentioned it. It's simply about getting him in the building. And it sounds cliche. I know it does, but like I've had people like say to me, like, hey, I went and checked out the Wheelers. And I've also had people say to me recently, like, hey, they're good. And it's been a year or so since I've been, and I really like going to them. And I'm like, well, go, those kind of things as well. Okay. Before I let you go, Doug Bland scolded me last week because I didn't ask him all my fun questions that I normally did. I thought I had. So I'm going to do that with you. And I'm going to start with, if you, when it comes to food, what's that food in the Quad Cities? You're Quad City. Is it Quad Cityan or Quad Citizen? Me and Pat Anger argued about this. Brian?
I feel like it's Quad.
He says Quad Cityan.
Quad Citian. See, I've heard Quad Citizen.
That's Pat Anger thinks Quad Citizen too. Either way, as a Quad Cityan citizen,
it must be a Hawkeyes.
Where's the picks to click for you here when it comes to food in the Quad Cities?
Oh man, that's a hard question. I like Koya's. I think Koya's is an underground little spot that people don't know about, but they should absolutely give a chance. It's great Mexican food, locally operated. Texas Roadhouse is always a classic. I love me some Texas Roadhouse.
There you go.
And let me see here, what else we got? Your pie. I love your pie.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So those are some top options. Also, we have some great sponsors here within the Wheelers that I love to go and support as well. So again, I don't think you can go wrong. It's just a matter of what you're in the mood for, which is always difficult for me every night because I have no idea what I want to eat. So.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, if you could have dinner with one person in the world, who would it be and why?
Oh, that's a great question. Do they have to be famous or can it be anybody?
It can be anybody.
I would say my little sister. She moved away to do travel nursing. Back after she graduated from Ambrose in, what was that? 2019 now. So, I get to see her every once in a while, but I absolutely take any chance that I could to sit down and have a meal with my little sister these days. It's something that you don't think about when you're a kid. And, And, as you grow up, you just think that they're going to be right there next to you, all the time. And so just having the opportunity to sit down and catch up with her would absolutely be my first choice.
I love it. That's one of my favorite answers. Last one for you. If you weren't the general manager for the Quad City Steamwheelers, what would you be doing? Is there a different sport outside of football? Has it always been football that you wanted to work in? Obviously, you're a former athlete yourself. What other kind of things? I have a feeling you're doing something sporty regardless.
Yeah, so I would say I would definitely be in football, no matter what. I think I did go to school for my first 2 years to be a PI, so a private investigator.
Okay.
I was going to go into law enforcement, so I could definitely have seen myself obviously taking that option. But I was in an accident when I was at Blackhawk that took kind of basketball away from me being able to play still. So that's when I transitioned over to being like, I can't imagine life without sports. So again, I think it'd be hard to say that I want to be working somewhere in the industry, but if not sports, definitely probably would have tapped into to law enforcement.
I love it. So before I let you go, the Wheelers back at home Saturday night, right? Saturday night down at Vibrant Arena against Mass. Tell people if they need tickets, all that kind of stuff. Give us the spiel before we let you go.
Yeah, little sneak peek of what we got going on this week.
Oh, look at that.
Military Appreciation Night. So this is actually Steamboat Willie's, so it says captain, but sponsored by Willen and Presley Funeral Home. They are an absolute amazing partner of ours. We team up on this night every single season. We're able to give back to all the local vets and active duty military members a free ticket to the game to come out and enjoy. We do our salute to service tunnel with all local veterans and active duty members that get to run out on the field with the players and be announced for their branch and their years of service. It's a really special game, and again, if you haven't been able to make it out to one this year, you can't miss this one. This one's absolutely one of my favorite ones to put on each season, and so much of it gets to go obviously into supporting our local military members who give that ultimate sacrifice. So I couldn't say enough about this awesome promotion, and again, it's going to be a great game. So all around awesome opportunity to find a way to get out of the heat this Saturday and enjoy. I mean, the weather is undefeated indoors. So
yeah, I love it. Hey, as a guy who's going to be sweating through a bunch of baseball games this weekend, I envy that. Get inside, check out the Wheelers. Destiny, thank you for letting me always bug you all the time. I love doing this each and every week, and keep doing awesome things. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Absolutely, Matt. Thanks.
Awesome. That is Destiny Brown, the general manager for the Quad City Steamwheelers. So we got more to get to. Coming up right after the break, we will hook up with our good friend Andrew Lehman with the John Deere Classic coming next week. All that, much more right here and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8888. 8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need mobile party experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile party experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470 and book your mobile party experience today. Welcome back to to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Thank you guys for joining us here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities. Hoping and efforting to chat with our good friend Andrew Lehman here in just a little bit. Having some technical difficulty with him as I send a little technology at its finest. So we're going to pop on over, and you heard his voice. Say his name as he appears. The one and only. Let me mic you, buddy.
Okay.
BrianStocking is here. That's the nice part about having a co-host is you can fill time while I try to
with technology while you're being foiled by technology yet again.
I am. Yeah, he's having internet issues. So what we're gonna do is chat with BrianStocking here in just a second.
Okay.
How about Destiny Brown? She remembers you as a teacher, and also she said you used to referee some of her games.
I did. I still have my referee license.
When's the last time you refereed a game?
Oh, this past February up in Morrison. So,
and how'd you do? Oh, did you?
Yeah. It was a boys' game up in Morrison early February. I think they were playing polo maybe, or one of those schools up in the Northwest State Illini, and it was a good game, and
okay.
It was a sophomore game.
That's cute. Enough about your little nonsense. We got more important people to get to. Gosh, Andrew Lehman is here. Let me unmic Stockpile. You know, ever so often when you think like, Andrew, hey, I got a really good idea. Let's have BrianStocking on. And then you're like, oh, what did I do? What did I invite? No, I'm just kidding. Stockpile, you're doing great. Hey, buddy.
Hey, did you just kick him off for me?
I did. Right away.
Wow.
That's respect, isn't it?
No. Actually, it makes me feel kind of bad.
What did you just do? Because your sound is really weird now. Did you push a button?
I didn't. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're perfect. See, no, the reason why is because I'm worried that you're like, I can't imagine how busy you are right now. For you to take the time to be on this silly little program is one, it's nice, but two, like, what are you thinking? I feel like there's like 18 people out in the lounge waiting for you to do things. That's not the case?
That's why I have my door closed. You appear to be busy, and I got nothing but time for you, baby.
A couple great additions yesterday. Tom Kim and Denny McCarthy, who I think, Andrew, if you tell me, I got to change Destiny's name still up there. See, I'm all frazzled. Technology and all that kind of stuff. I don't want you to.
I'll change it. Whoever you want me to be.
I'll change it to Claire Peterson here in a second, and then we'll. I think Denny McCarthy is going to win the John Deere Classic someday. Am I crazy to say that?
No. Denny and I have actually had that conversation. And I don't have a rooting interest, right? But Denny is a guy that plays well here every year. He's in contention. He seems to, his game is in a good place right now. He's been playing a lot of really good golf lately. And let's not forget that the last 3 champions have come out of the same house in Geneseo, and Denny stays in that house. So it's a pretty good omen.
I know you don't have any rooting interest, and I have a lot of golfers that I root for, but he's one of those guys that at the end on Sunday he's holding up that trophy, I'd be pretty excited. Tom Kim's a good pickup as well. Talk about this field in general too, because we've talked about it in recent weeks, and it's again for the second straight year, a really strong field once again.
Yeah, no, we're very happy with where we are, even if that ended today, and we have until 5:00 on Friday to lock the field in, and there's still some very positive conversations happening with players and agents that we may not be done just yet. But no, getting Tom here, that's a relationship that we've now had for the last couple of years, and unfortunately, in 23 and 24, it didn't work in his schedule. But to get him here this year, he's a guy that is fun to follow, big personality. Obviously had a very large part in the third season of Full Swing. And, I just think right now, when you look at the young guys that are in the field, you look at the veteran guys that are in the field, and you look at, the guys that are still young that are very successful on tour, it's a good mix from top to bottom and something that we're really happy with. Right now, we've got 34 guys that have won a PGA Tour event in the last 2 years. So
wow,
that's a big number.
Yeah, that is. It's going to be a great field next week. What goes on for you these next 3 days? Is it and then it's not, but is it the haze in the barn and you're just kind of, making sure things are ready to go, or are there major things that you get ready for and do every year?
No, we laugh, right? I mean, anybody in the event business understands that, you can work all year long and put plans in place, and then inevitably, 40% of those plans are going to change pretty significantly in the last 2 weeks. So, our team's rocking and rolling. The build is looking fantastic. We've got a ton of additions this year to the golf course that are new. And then you start to look at the fact that our advanced rules official is in town as of yesterday. So now a lot of my time is focused, not only with players, agents, our title sponsor in John Deere, to make sure that, all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, but, really working closely with the PGA Tour. And that process goes on through, next Wednesday. And then at that point, the tour kind of takes over from, a player and hospitality standpoint. And we switch our focus to, our everyday patron, and our hospitality guests all start arriving on Thursday. So, rocking and rolling. It's hard to believe that we're 5 days away from Monday of tournament week.
I don't want to keep you too long, but when you're looking at it, and I was kind of doing some stuff today, looking ahead, Lisa Bluter's at Deere Run on Monday, right?
Tuesday morning, yeah.
Is it Tuesday morning? Okay, Tuesday morning.
Yep.
Wednesday, the Pro-Am with Riley Moss, TJ Hawkinson, and then Plague begins on Thursday. Kids Day's on Tuesday again as well, I'm sure. Kind of talk about some of the things. Wednesday.
Yeah, it's on Wednesday.
Yeah, yep. Duh. I know these. It's not like I completely stopped doing what I used to do. It just, hey, sometimes you get
out of the TV business and forget. I mean, you did forget that it was 156 the world's best one time.
I was in the TV business when I forgot that. So just think of how bad it's got to be now. Just talk.
That's
what
exactly right.
Is there something that? And this is tough to do. It's like maybe asking your favorite kid. But is there something that excites you the most about next week? Is there a day, an event? A Pro-Am? Is there a part of the concerts? Like, there's so much. Was there something that stands out to you that I'm really looking forward to this besides seeing me?
Yeah, that's up there on the list for sure. No, it just all of it. It's all important. It's all it's such a big part of tournament week. Everything that's happening from Monday morning to Sunday night, closing out with concerts. You try to make sure that, you give your players and caddies and their families, the ultimate hospitality experience while they're here. We want all of our patrons who are coming through the gate to have an unbelievable experience from the moment they pull into one of our parking lots to the moment they leave the golf course. Our hospitality guests, making sure that they're having an unbelievable experience. being in and around the 4th of July and celebrating, our rich military history in the Quad Cities. We still have some things in the works for the 4th of July that we're hoping to get across the finish line in terms of some military activities. It's important to get Monday and Wednesday in the book because of the Pro-Am. Those are our folks and guests of John Deere that are, it's not a cheap experience to play in a Pro-Am. So you want to make sure you get those experiences in. And really golf is one of the only sports where you can go out and spend, 4.5 to 5.5 hours with a professional athlete in that kind of setting. And, it's going to ultimately culminate with Dierks Bentley and Zach Brown Band on the weekend. And it's going to be awesome. I keep checking the weather. It's the one thing we stress about. It's the one thing you can't control. I did tell Corey yesterday when he was out here for a quick interview that I will personally hold James Sahara responsible if we get any of that R word next week after he chose to, cast his vote for Claire Peterson. So we'll see how that shakes out. And anyway, no, it's going to be fun to open the gates on Wednesday and we're expecting a bigger attendance number than we had last year too. So it's going to be busy out here.
It's going to be busy. It's going to be fun. And have you thought about letting James golf in the Pro-Am? Because hear me out. He's golfed at my dad's golf outing every single year, and we've had nothing but great weather every year. And my thought process is if you invite or involve the weather guy, you're more apt to have better weather. It might be worth a spot just to make sure you get weather. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll take that under advisement and see how that shakes out.
That's a big no. That's an absolutely no.
He will not be in the Pro-Am. He will not be in the Pro-Am in 2025. So I guess that's on me for rolling the dice.
Yes.
Hey, who's sitting over there to your right?
It's BrianStocking's there.
Brian from Channel 8.
Yeah. He's on the show today.
Mr. 216 in Media Day.
Yes, that's right. I wish I could pop because he can't hear you. And I can't go to the box. You shot it. What was it?
216.
We had the media one year they had a media day. And I think I shot a 210 or something. 218.
No. 216.
It was over 200. I know that.
It was 216, right, Andrew?
Yeah. So when Claire retired, and no one pretends that this is the Resolute desk in this office by any means, but I opened the drawer and I didn't find a note wishing me well from Claire, but I found a scorecard from that media day, and Brian shot a 216. Let's not forget, it was a shamble. So everybody picks the best drive and plays their own ball in from there. So he was already probably in the fairway. By the way, par is your friend in an event like that, and he chose to take all 216 swings out there. I'm not sure if I'm appalled or if I want to give him credit.
No, don't give him any credit. Be appalled. It's BrianStocking. It's one of the just trust me. He's BrianStocking. That makes perfect sense if you know him. Before I let you go, do you have baseball to deal with this weekend? I remember before you were the man, like the head of the whole world and place, you snuck away on a Saturday of Deer Week. Do you remember this? You went up to like Cedar Rapids to watch your kid play, like maybe at nighttime. It wasn't during the day, but you came into the trailer and you're like, I went and snuck up to Cedar Rapids and watched Ethan's game real quick or something like that. Do you have baseball this weekend? I'm hoping that you don't and you can get well rested to get ready for the tournament. So the answer to that question is yes, there is baseball this weekend and there's softball this weekend too. So Ellie's playing in the Iowa-Illinois State Tournament Friday, Saturday, Sunday this weekend. Ethan is over at TBK. But that you're referring to I believe it was 2021. It rained state baseball that year. It rained in the Quad Cities almost every day. And in Cedar Rapids, the weather was perfect. And the long story of that is I was president of Barnstormer Baseball Club at the time. And we were a majors team. And we had a AAA team. I'm sorry, they had been bumped to majors. And this team had decided to bring 4 or 5 kids out of the Chicago market to play on their team, and it kind of flipped the competitive balance of the state tournament. In fact, there were rules that were put in place after this.
And I won't mention anybody by name. We still have great relationships with all these people. But we as a club had told them that if they did that, they would be asked to leave. And luck, or I guess whatever you want to call it, we played them on that Saturday night to get to the semifinals of the state tournament. And I had decided, you know what, it's a 7 p.m. game. I can't miss that. So I went up there, and as the head coach of that team, I didn't coach. I just sat on the bucket and took in an 8-4 victory, which felt really good that night. So
they made it worth your while, and that's the important thing. I just remember you coming into the trailer.
There's some really good people associated with that team. Good kids, good families, but it was one of those moments where it felt a little bit better that night, I guess, if you want to say that.
I just remember you
right now that
the
team
trailer.
would probably clobber our team. So
you came into the trailer and you were like, and you told me like Cedar Rapids. I'm like, and you were tired. I'm like, what are you thinking? You also said other things at that point too, but I'm going to let you go right now instead of going down memory lane.
You know what time I got back at midnight that night and then was back up at 4:45 to get back out here. So
you can sleep when you're dead,
but
brother.
it was all worth it.
Exactly, and they won. And they won. So hey,
but I will not be coaching any baseball this weekend.
Good boy. Get ready for it. Get well rested. We'll see you out at the course next week. We're all looking forward to it.
All right, Matt. Thank you. Tell Mr. 216. See you later.
I will do that. Andrew Lehman joining us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. I do have to let you respond. I couldn't get to all of it, so I'm going to come out to – hold on. I got to get everything. I'm doing everything at the same time, stockpile.
I know.
So why would you card a 216?
Because you write down what you shoot. You do it honestly. I mean,
I don't know why, but your microphone's not working.
Now you won't even I can't hear him. I can't even respond. You write down what you shoot. If you shoot a 216, you shoot a 216. If you shoot a 185, you shoot a 185.
You're a good man, but we can't hear you. We can kind of hear you, but for some reason, I don't know why that's not working. So anyways, we're going to hit a quick break. We're getting through this thing. It's working. We're getting there. Step by step, slowly but surely, we are getting there. We are going to hit one more commercial break. Up next, Greg Armstrong's going to join us, and then we'll chat with Stockpile as well. You're watching Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Hey, Quad Cities, you looking for a night of action, unity, and appreciation? We've got something special for you. Saturday night, June 28th, join the Quad City Steamwheelers for Military Night as they take on the Massachusetts Pirates. We're honoring our heroes. All active duty and former military get in free. It's football, community, and a chance to show gratitude. Bring your family and friends for a night to remember. Get your tickets now at steamwheelersfootball.com/tickets. Let's stand together and cheer together.
The PGA Tour swings into the Quad Cities again this summer, and you don't want to miss it. The John Deere Classic brings golf, music, magic, and more to TPC Deere Run July 2nd through the 6th. Wednesday, July 2nd is Youth Day, and ages 15 and under are free all week, making it perfect for the whole family. Stick around after the golf on the weekend for the concerts on the Course Series, featuring country superstar Dierks Bentley on Saturday and Grammy Award-winning Zac Brown Band on Sunday. Come for the golf, stay for the party. Visit JohnDeereClassic.com to get your tickets before they sell out.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities. The summer flying right by, and before you know it, football season and the high school athletics will be back rocking and rolling again. We're joined now by my good friend, Greg Armstrong, the owner and proprietor of View from the West podcast. Is that a thing? Is that like the best way to announce it and say it?
That sounds really fancy, but I mean, I guess I'll take it.
I don't even know what proprietor means. It just sounded good.
I'll say creator and like sidekick to Mitch.
Oh, no. Okay. No, how about tag team partner? No need to be like a sidekick. There you go. Tag team partner. That's obviously right. Greg joining us. He joins us a lot here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. We've kind of been hinting at it for a few weeks now. The high school football season's right around the corner. High school athletics in general right around the corner. Obviously, the Iowa side doing baseball and softball right now, but things get rolling with the new school year. You know more than I do. The summer flies right by, and we're excited because we're kind of combining forces here between what you do and what I do here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Tell people about it a little bit.
Well, yeah. So I think, when you jumped in and started doing Off the Air, your show here, and you've been up rocking and rolling. Is it 5 months or 6 months?
It's like 5.5.
I've gotten confused. Okay. So you've been up doing your thing weekly every day and really talking to so many people from both the Iowa side and the Illinois side of the river, some with Quad Cities connections and some that are, just associated big name stories through the University of Iowa, University of Illinois. And so from my aspect, gearing up for another season of high school football, this will be our 6th season of high school football. Wow. Although, like you, it's also confusing because we started in the COVID spring season. So it's like 5 years of podcasting and 6 seasons of podcasting. So anyway, all of the details and fine print of how long we've been doing this. And I think, as we've collaborated and talked about things, I think it's time to kind of make it official and, create a media group that kind of houses all of what we do and maybe add a little bit to what we do. So do you want to reveal the name? Do I reveal the name? Where do we start?
I think we go with you. I think you're the guest. To the guest goes the honors. Go ahead.
All right. So there we go. So I think starting today, Matt Randazzo, Greg Armstrong will be creating River Rivals Media. So hence River Rivals. We're in the Quad Cities. Like I said, you're covering Iowa and Illinois stuff. I'm covering the Illinois high school side of things. So, when we're talking about high school football, I'm covering things on the Illinois side, but there's a lot happening on the Iowa side. So for River Rivals Media, I think there's an extra podcast we need to throw into our group here. I'll hand it over to you to maybe make that introduction.
Yeah, because we're excited about that. I've really loved watching what View from the West has become. And my days at WQAD, and Greg and I worked together there. Everyone knows before that he hated me, but that's a whole different issue. But but I love the View from the West. And obviously here in the Quad Cities and then our surrounding areas, the Iowa side is just hanging out there, and you do such a good job with that I think it's time that the Iowa side had a podcast of its own as well. So we're going to start Eye on the East podcast coming up this season as well. Reached out to Kevin Tippett, former North Scott head coach. He's going to help me with it. Matt Koss is somebody who's also said he could help out a little bit with it as well. So those kind of things we can get going so that while you have the Illinois side on lockdown and doing great things there, maybe it's goofy cousin just starting things up. It's goofy younger cousin on the Iowa side can get things going as well. And kind of the same thing you do, kind of preview games each and every week and then kind of talk about what happened in the games the prior week, players of the week, all those kind of things. We'll get the ball rolling soon. We're not going to hit the ground running where you guys are at right now, but it's a great thing to feed off of. And I think it's a great partnership when it comes to what high school football is in this area.
Yeah, I mean, you referenced it, when we worked together at WQAD, and I always really took pride in the fact that before, podcasting really blew up, there was no real local high school podcast, and we kind of carved a niche with The Score, becoming a weekly podcast as well as the TV coverage we were doing. And that covered both Iowa and Illinois side of the river. Contrary to popular belief, all joking that we do on our podcast, I have covered the Iowa side of the river. I was a big fan. I loved going out to Mediapolis, covering games in Wilton or Durant.
Muscatine.
And then closer to Muscatine. I did love my time covering Muscatine.
Yeah.
When head coach Jake Mueller was there. But I've always joked that with you and going before you with Pearson, I never really got to stay local. I was always the guy traveling, right? So I did cover Bettendorf. I covered a couple Bettendorf Pleasant Valley games, covered some local games at Brady Street Stadium. But for the most part, I was out traveling. But either way, I've covered the Iowa side. And I think, I was talking to somebody the other day about kind of extending our coverage and looking at the Iowa side of the river. And somebody immediately said, I think there's a void there because a lot of the statewide coverage naturally generates from Des Moines area. And I think what we saw on the Illinois side was a lot of the statewide coverage was being generated from the Chicago suburbs area.
Yeah.
And so that's where View from the West, the name kind of came in, right? Like, I want to give my take on high school football from the western side of the state, from this area that's producing great football. Same with the Iowa side. On the East, I really want to focus on what are our schools doing, and then how does it play into the greater scheme of things in the state of Iowa. So we have great programs like we've talked about, North Scott, Pleasant Valley, the smaller schools we've named as well. I really want to spotlight them and be able to do what we've done with View from the West and create it in Eye on the East and get that excitement for local high school football.
And the thing is, and we knew it from covering the Quad Cities in our area on the TV side of things, it's so hard to cover everything. And one, if you didn't, and I remember our Score podcast that we did, that was probably before the pandemic, wasn't it? They could go so long because we're going to talk about everybody. So I think it's great to kind of separate the two and what you've done on and Mitch with View from the West and covering that as well and expanding on that side. There is a void. And it is funny. I've had people say to me love View from the West. Man, I wish there was one on the Iowa side, or I wish they'd expand over there. It's a great way of expanding what you guys have already done, but not getting it watered down, if that makes any sense, by adding it to, you can only do so much. Gosh, you and Mitch talk for 8 hours an episode. It can't be any longer.
Well, and when you come down to it, when you break it down, honestly, the fans of high school football in Princeton, Illinois, maybe aren't as concerned with what's going on in North Scott and vice versa.
They don't know that Mediapolis exists in Princeton and vice versa.
Potentially, yeah. So I think that to really kind of cater to our specific listeners, I think this will help create something that, each side of the river will have something to go to listen to for high school football coverage. So, yeah, very excited.
Yeah, so here's the plan moving forward for people, and we kind of brushed over a little bit so we're hoping and we're planning on starting a network. There'll be a website we can go where everything will be housed at. This show every single day. Greg's show, View from the West with Mitch and Greg's show. Make sure Mitch doesn't get cranky.
You put Mitch first in that intro.
I did. And then, although he ignored our text message yesterday, how rude was that? Anyways, and then we'll have the Eye on the East as well, starting up this year as well, and then hoping to add and grow from that as well to kind of have one spot shopping. If that makes sense.
One-stop shop.
There you go. That's what it is. Woo.
We need Pat Angerer on here when it comes to vocabulary and how to properly use it.
He's
always your guiding.
It's there's some words that I get confused. I got to make sure I get correct. But so that's the hope. That's the plan. Not the hope. That's what we're going to be doing moving forward. We'll kind of unveil things these next couple weeks as things kind of move on. Let people know when the Eye on the East is going to debut and all that kind of stuff as well. Excited about the people that I'm going to be working with and doing those kind of things as well. So it's just a great spot where, like, you know, area, Quad City, but also more than Quad City, you know, the two-state area can go and check out different shows, different podcasts, and all that kind of stuff as well. River Rivals is where it's going to be at. We're going to get that up and going here in the near future. And Greg, I'm excited about it. I think it's a great way to continue to grow and expand. We've always talked, being media members for as long as we have, that you're always having to evolve and change. And obviously, this is kind of where sports are going to, and people are really embracing it and loving it. I've been really, you know, humbled by people actually watching this goofy show. And I love what View from the West has done. I think View from the East is going to be fantastic as well. And Don Umland also wants to start a wrestling podcast too. So that could be in the works as well. I believe in pro wrestling.
Okay. I mean, if you have episodes where you're talking like 80s and 90s, that's my wheelhouse.
Then you're
I'll be
in.
there. I'll be on for that.
Attitude
Current
Era?
product,
Attitude Era, and you're all in, but probably not before that, after that. So, with that being said, too, kind of tell me about what the View from the West. I know things are coming out now, and then also we won't get too far into it, but we're thinking about having a little like kickoff party, if that's a thing, a season kickoff party as well.
So View from the West, we're trying to expand our coverage and trying to just, you know, keep kind of, you know, moving forward, right? Kind of keep creating new stuff. With that in mind, we're in the works. We're in the process of trying to coordinate what we're going to call like a kickoff season preview live podcast. So we'll be out live somewhere in the Quad Cities. Hope to bring in coaches, have them, you know, join us live on the air and have a big kind of preview party to the season. You know, we do all of our preview podcasts will be recorded and be posted throughout the month of August and late July. But this is a way to kind of get people together and have kind of a, you know, just kind of a kickoff party all together and have people in the same room. And I'm really excited for that. Another thing that we're going to do this year, the Instant Reacts podcast has been kind of ever evolving, right? From the time I would literally set my phone down in the middle of the room and we would just start talking to now. I think we're going to start hopefully around 10:30. I say hopefully, it's going to happen every Friday. The timing is we're going to have to figure it out, but around 10:30 every Friday night, Mitch and I, along with a cast of characters, yourself included, we'll go live on Fridays. We'll bring in coaches live, interview them about the night they just had, talk about the game, talk about where they're at in their season, and be more interactive. I think that podcast lends itself so perfectly to you're driving home or you're, you know, at home after being at a game and you're unwinding. Join us on YouTube. I know people want to still crave football after they leave a game or watch a game. We're there to kind of be there live. It'll obviously be posted and recorded on YouTube. You can go back and watch it later.
Yeah.
But that live element I'm really excited about. And we'll be doing weekly shows, weekly previews starting in like the second, right after 4th of July. So we're kind of taking the next week or so to kind of gear ourselves up, get everything organized. Then we're going to be ready to go. Previews are going to be starting and on down the way.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. I love this time of year. Obviously, the John Deere Classic next week, but it was funny because, and it's still the same now. You know, you get the John Deere Classic, that excitement, and then you kind of get done with that, and then you quickly say, wow, like football season's right around the corner. And it's that like build up, that anticipation to it. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. So we'll have several announcements coming up throughout the next couple weeks on when things get going as well. But the main thing we wanted to kind of announce today is River Rivals Podcast Network is going to be coming here in the very near future, and then debuting a new show as well to go along with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo and View from the West podcast will be Eye on the East podcast, focusing on the eastern Iowa side of the state when it comes to high school football, kind of the goofy cousin of View from the West podcast, which has been super successful as well. Greg, I love it. I can't wait. It's going to be a ton of fun, and you're going to get annoyed with me again because you're going to have to keep doing more work with me. We're working together again now, which is kind of crazy.
I
don't think we ever stopped working together, but we're a little more closely, even more so. So obviously, View from the West is on the social media. Give that as well and the YouTube channel as well before we let you go.
Yeah, you can find View from the West pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts, obviously Apple or Podbean or Spotify. You can find us on YouTube, search View from the West. We have video highlight or video clips from the show. We have game highlights from last year. We just put up our kind of like our 2024 like hype video from last year, kind of to get us excited for the new season. So that's up there posted right now. A lot of content there, a lot of video content. You can also find us on X, on Twitter as well. We're very active there. So seek us out. We're kind of taking a little week and a half-ish break here for the 4th of July, kind of getting everything set up. We actually just ordered new software to run our show. We're going to get some new microphones. So we're just kind of gearing up, getting ready. We'll start previews, like I said, that second week in July, and we'll be off and running.
Love it. Love it. He's Greg Armstrong, View from the West, and also River Rivals Media, if that's a thing now. It is a thing now.
It
we
is
love
a
it.
thing now.
So awesome. Greg, I appreciate you. We'll talk to you again real soon.
All right. Thanks a lot.
That is Greg Armstrong joining us right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Exciting times. River Rivals Media. I think it's going to be fantastic for sports fans here in the Quad Cities and the surrounding areas to find one place to get all their sports needs each and every day. We got more to get to. You're watching Off the Air on a Wednesday right here in the Quad Cities. Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need mobile party experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile party experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470 and book your mobile party experience today. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities. I got good news and I got bad news. The good news is BrianStocking is still with us. I got the bad news. The bad news is
my mic now works.
I got your microphone to work again. Well, you pulled the top part out.
I didn't pull it.
You had to have.
I must have bumped it.
I think you don't bump. Anyway, like I feel like one of my kids. So.
I'm clumsy enough too. So.
Yes. Well, and Brian's been here all day watching the show, co-hosting, and all that kind of stuff with me. I wanted to talk to you about a couple different things. Okay. One, you didn't get to. We could kind of hear you. But you literally, we did media day. What year was that?
2015, because it was my 40th birthday. It was the day of my 40th birthday.
And so you went out with KWQC.
Yes, because I was still them. They invited us. I'm like going, wow, this is the first time I ever been invited to it. So it was my 40th birthday. I went out and shot like a 216 and.
But you literally put down every time you hit the ball.
Yes. And all the balls that went off into, I lost several in the deep bush because they hadn't mowed it yet. So there was
it's the rough.
Deep rough. And then like I had one, I'm shooting uphill and the ball went that way into the woods. I'm like going, I even said, I said, if we got kids
Who'd you golf with? Because they mix this up.
Yeah, maybe.
So you weren't with like people you work with regularly.
No, I was with. There was one person from Channel 6 who I was with. I think it was James Stratton.
Oh my gosh!
And I think Angie Sharp or somebody. I know there was somebody from WQAD in our group. I can't remember.
Did they want to kill you?
No, they didn't want to. No, they didn't want to kill me. But I told a couple of people. I said, we got kids in detention. We gotta send them out with me golfing. They'll never get in trouble again.
Do you
go
golf?
Shag the ball? It's in the woods.
What's the last time you golfed?
It's been a couple 3 years. I didn't actually until the first time I actually went golfing was my 25th birthday. Before that, the only time I had golfed was mini golf. We didn't even have golf in. We didn't have a golf unit in high school.
I didn't golf when I was younger either. And my dad would say to me when I was in high school and probably college, like, hey, do you want to go golf? And I was like, I'm good. I mean, I went sometimes, but like, it wasn't like for me growing up, it was free to go shoot baskets or play basketball.
Yeah, my dad hated golf. My dad hated golf. I don't know why, but
216.
Yeah.
My God.
But I mean, I enjoy it. It's a nice walk, except that it's spoiled a lot by having to go chase the ball here, chase the ball there. Where'd I hit it to?
You
hit a lot of ground balls.
you're part of you're on View from the West from time to time for the reaction pod. Well, your thoughts on River Rivals Media?
I think it's going to be good. I mean, it's
just good.
Well, I think it's going to be good. I haven't heard it yet. I mean, I gotta wait for but no. I mean, honestly, when I was growing up, you could read the paper and get a lot of the information for the upcoming games. Now, obviously, that's not there. So you guys have filled that. You guys are filling that vacancy. So that way, on Friday nights when all the games are coming in, you're like going, yeah, that's what Greca talked about. When they were, and Mitch talked about, or that's what Dazzo was talking about, or it's an Eye on the East, I think.
Eye on the East.
Eye on the
View
East.
From the West.
View
Eye
from
on
the
the
West.
East. Huh?
View from the West. Eye on the East. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of talk about the Assumption Geneseo game week 2.
Yeah, we could do a crossover.
That game is going to be a very intriguing matchup.
Yeah, it should be good.
First time the last time they met.
No, but you're going to tell me what the score was and everything else.
1957, when it was still St. Ambrose Academy. They played Geneseo at Muni Stadium, which is now Modern Woodman Park. And St. Ambrose Academy won 31-7.
How do you know these things?
Because I looked it up last night.
Genius. Okay, so I'm excited about it. Again, what we just talked with Greg about it, there'll be a site you can go to. It's going to have all the View from the West podcast, this show each and every day, and then also the Eye on the East, and we'll continue to add and build as we go along as well. So I'm excited about the Eye for the East because I've loved what Greg has done with the View from the West.
He's done a great job.
And I love being
with
part
that.
of it and helping out and all the times I've been on and stuff. But yeah, like the Iowa side, it's just a no-brainer. So, and some of the people we've talked to help out and be part of it is really exciting as well too. So,
and it's going to be I think it's going to do great. Because View from the West is very informative, especially when you get into the previews and everything. They do a great. Greg and Mitch do a great job with that.
Honestly, in Illinois, if you talk about to anybody who cares about high school football, you bring up View from the West, and they just shake their head right away, like, "Oh yeah, I listen all the time."
Yeah, they do a great job, and I think Eye from the East will be very good for the Iowa fans. And of course, your show on a daily basis sort of brings it all. We'll sort of bring it all together,
like a bow around.
Yeah, so it will replace what from those of us who remember those days when the papers would come out and cover the games. They covered all bases, and now we have that vacancy that's been there is now being filled.
Yeah, I like it. I think you make a lot of sense. Hopefully, people like it as well. So before we let you go, we got a few things we want to talk about. You were all fired up during one of the breaks about the WNBA.
The WNBA is at a very precarious position. You got Caitlin Clark, who is obviously the best player in the WNBA. When she was out with those games, viewership dropped 50%. Interest dropped precipitously. And now, she's back, and they've gotten a few games in. But when you look at it, last year she got poked in the eye by Dijon Carrington. First game of the season, Dijon Carrington's on Dallas with Paige Buchers. There's a girl from Minnesota who came up with the ball. She's driving to the basket. Buchers blocks her. She gets called for the block because she tried to set up in the halo. Carrington comes from over the top and rakes the girl from Minnesota in the face across the eyes. The eyes are you can't be having that. Just last week or so, Caitlin Clark got poked in the eye again. Then she's trying to get up and she gets knocked into the ground, gets knocked into the official. Nothing happens. Earlier this season, Caitlin Clark at Atlanta got shoulder blocked at midcourt when it was just her and another girl. She gets shoulder blocked, and trying to get they almost gave her a concussion because she got her head snapped back There was a girl from L.A., Ashley, her last name's Barker. And this Carrington grabbed her by the hair and pulled her at an awkward angle like she's Gumby.
Okay, yeah, so what's the, okay, yes.
Now, all of those incidents that I just said, there's not been any suspensions. Kathy Engelbert came out the day after the game with Connecticut where Sophie Cunningham says enough's enough. No suspensions, just mediocre minimum fines. She needs to start saying, we're going to start suspending you and taking a game check. You want to get their attention, you start taking a game check.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate because I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I get it. But we're talking about the WNBA right now.
Right.
Were we doing that 2 years ago?
No, but
were we doing that 3 years ago, 5 years ago?
No, but Caitlin Clark's in the league. She went to Iowa. She was a star.
Yeah, but that's
national
Iowa
star.
But
she's a national
1,000%. She's in my opinion a generational talent. Like
right.
I get all that, but and I agree they have to fix a few things. But with that being said, like I think if you're the WNBA, any talk is decent talk. It's okay.
But if somebody gets badly hurt, where there is a career-ending injury, and it comes from a dirty play, we're not talking.
So you're just saying you want to, because that happens in the NBA too. There's
Right.
dirty plays and all that kind of stuff. And you watched basketball in the 90s and 80s.
Oh yeah,
like,
I remember.
I mean, I get
Bill Laimbeer. Yeah.
So it's not the you're not. Again, you're upset with the punishments for the crimes.
Right. I mean, I understand physical play. I enjoy, basketball is a collision sport. There is physicality. The rules allow that. But there's a fine line between being physical and being tough and being dirty. And in the plays that I just cataloged, that's not physical. That's being dirty. I mean, Paige Bucher setting up the block in the halo, that's physical. All right. That's not a dirty play. But the person coming over the top and raking the eyes, that's dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Hitting people in their eyes because the eye, you can't play with one eye.
What did Sophie Cunningham get for?
I think she got a small fine.
But you got to remember, everything's relative.
Right.
Like the fine seems small, but you got to remember the highest paid players in the WNBA are making $250,000 a year.
But you start taking game checks. You start suspending players from games, or for like Carrington, because she's been a multiple offender. You start taking multiple games, like 2-3 games. Now you're going to have teams saying, we can't afford you to do this. So you either clean it up or we're going to get rid of you. You get rid of the dirty play by penalizing it. I'm not saying physical. There's a place for physical play. I am not saying they can't play physical. I get what you're saying. I mean, I grew up, we both grew up watching the Bad Boys and the Bulls and the Celtics, and they were very fit. There was physicalness. I have no problem with physical basketball. It's part of the game. But there's a difference between physical and dirty. It's like in football. There's physical play. Like the one year, Iowa, I think it was 2004. They knocked out like 8 or 9 quarterbacks out of games that they played. It wasn't dirty play. They played physical and tough. I have no problem with watching physical play. One of the most physical plays I saw, Eric Keppel, Joe Ferguson. I thought Wilbur Marshall killed him in '85 when the Bears played him and laid him out at the Silverdome. That wasn't dirty. That was physical. There's a difference between physical and dirty.
With that being said, you do got to remember that we're talking about the WNBA right now.
Right. But
that's a huge plus for that.
But think about how we're talking about. We're not talking about Caitlin Clark scoring 30 or Paige Bucher scoring 25 or Cyprian Ionescu having a double-double. We're talking about the underside of the sport.
I think people are talking about that as well. I think the big talking point is the treatment of, and you brought in other stuff too, but the main thing is the treatment of Caitlin Clark.
Right.
And that's the main thing that's spearheading it. And you got the people that want to defend the heck out of that, which they do, and they got the people that want to protect Caitlin, which should. It's just weird to me that they don't embrace
the generational star.
I mean, that's where, like, you look at golf, Tiger Woods, go along with it. Like, I'm telling you right now, I did never watch the WNBA. And I watch it a ton now.
I watch the highlights.
I watch it a ton now. And it's not just because of Caitlin Clark, but I watched Caitlin Clark, and then I saw wow, Sabrina Ionescu is really good, and Wilson's really good, and like you start learning the players, and you start realizing it's a great product and a good game of basketball. So you watch it more, and I think that's one thing. It's just weird they're going kicking and screaming to like embrace Caitlin instead of, and some are. I think it's gotten better this year. I do think it's gotten better this year.
But you look at like when you mentioned Tiger Woods in golf, the golf community embraced him, and he was one of the greatest stars in the game. But they embraced him. They didn't shun him to the side. Even when he struggled early and he lost, he had a lead I think he was leading the John Deere Classic in '96, or he was in contention and he sort of fell off. You didn't hear people going, "Oh, Eldrick Woods, he's a failure." No, they embraced him and said, "This kid's going to be really good." And when he figures out how to win a golf tournament instead of just showing up, you're going to see it. And what happens about 6 months later at the Masters?
Yeah,
he put together one of the greatest Masters ever, and you saw courses beginning to Tiger-proof their course because of the way he used to play the way he played the game, and he still dominated even after they sort of Tiger-proofed the courses. I mean, look at how at what he did at the U.S. Open, and the year they won it with one leg. I mean, he changed the sport. Caitlin Clark could change the sport of the WNBA if they embrace her. And one other thing with that, there's talk that people are saying, well, she should create her own league. That's happened once before. Red Grange with the Chicago Bears, when he came from Illinois, 1925, he played his final pro game his final college game on a Saturday. Thanksgiving Day was with the Bears because they didn't have a draft back in the 20s. The Bears then played multiple games. They went barnstorming through the South and Texas. Then they went on the West Coast and ended up in Seattle. League meetings, Red Grange goes, "I want a franchise in New York." And the NFL and Tim Mara, who owned the Giants at that point, said, "That's my territory. Over my dead body, are you getting a franchise in New York?" So Grange goes, "Fine, I'm going to create my own league." And the Rock Island Independents left the NFL to join Grange's league, which was the worst mistake. And Grange even played at Browning Field against the Rock Island Independents. They won, but the weather was the 1926 season. The weather was terrible, and finally, the teams in the Grange League, the American Football League, they folded. And then the next year, Grange got a franchise in New York, but it was because Tim Mara said, "I will be telling you what days you can and can't play." So obviously, like the best days, the Giants were at home. On days that Mara didn't want, you can play at Yankee Stadium at Red. And really, his career, I mean, he had a great career. He was in the Hall of Fame and that, but it was never... And he also got hurt in 1927 also.
You are a fount of knowledge. All right, I want to ask you before we go.
Yeah.
So Caitlin comes back and plays really well, but her last couple games, her last 3 games, she is 1 of 23 from 3.
Yeah, I think
she scored 6 points last night. The game before that, she had, where are her points at? Why can't I find them? I know she had 6 last night.
She had a quad, was a strain quad, was it?
Yeah.
That's a muscle strain. Muscle strains are always hard to come back from.
Yeah, but and she missed time, and I get that. But 1 of 23 from 3. One of stockpile. You're probably making a 3 if you go shoot it 23 times.
Probably, yeah.
So okay, I got and
slump. I mean,
her turnovers the last 3 games, 6, 8, and 8. Last night she had more points or turnovers than assists, or turnovers than points. Is there any reason to be concerned about Caitlin Clark?
I think it's just a slump. I mean, and also, think about maybe she's exhausted. She's had, it's her second year, so you could say should be used to it, but maybe she's mentally
exhausted.
I
say that, and she had 19 points and 10 assists against the Aces a couple games ago.
Yeah.
So that's good numbers, but
right.
The turnovers are up, the shooting is down. I think I had a buddy text me today and say, Is it time to get worried about Caitlin Clark? And I don't
think so. I think she's maybe exhausted. Also, she's probably
she's not exhausted. She just got a break.
Well,
she's just got her first break in a long, long time.
Well, I think the other thing is maybe she's still suffering from the injury, because Indiana really struggled with her gone. I think they went 1-4 while she was gone.
Yeah.
So that she probably felt the need. I gotta come back. So maybe she's not 100%. Muscle strains are always. You really don't know if they're going to be gone 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 8 weeks. So, with the way she plays, I don't think that it's time to it's not time to panic or anything. But I think it will be interesting to see. I think they need to look at how is she moving? Is she moving freely? Is she moving without? Is there? How is she doing the day after games? I think that's stuff they need to maybe look into instead of going, well, she's, I don't think she's, I think she'll work her way through it. I just think that
she's in a slump.
Yeah, she's in a slump, and every player goes through a slump. I mean, even Mickey Mantle and Babe Ruth went into the slump.
She set the bar so high that I think it's just weird that like when people see she struggles, they're like, wait a minute, honestly, I can't remember.
She only made 2 of 3. She only made 2 3-pointers in a quarter or what?
Yeah, I mean, this is like, I knew it'd been slow, but until I just looked it up, 1 of 23 from 3 points. So, all right, Stockpile, this has been a fun show. I appreciate you coming in and co-hosting. We'll do it again this summer before we go back to school.
We'll do it before, we got to do it. I think you'll be back in August and that.
Well, I'm not leaving this place, so
you're just going for a couple days.
Yeah, let me kind of wrap up with what's going on. Obviously, we'll be no show on Thursday and Friday. I'm heading to Indiana with my 10-year-old to play a little baseball over the weekend. Next week, we'll have a full week of shows. John Deere Classic is front and central there, so we'll do some stuff from the John Deere Classic as well. So an exciting week next week. And then, coming up in August, we'll do some fun things coming up.
This weekend, I'll be doing 14 games in 3 days. We have 4 games tomorrow. We have a freshman doubleheader and a sophomore doubleheader at North. And then we have the sophomore invitational this weekend, which is 5 games on each day. I'll be doing 2 JV softball games at the start of the day, and then going over, joining baseball, and then we'll have baseball all day Saturday at Ken Call Field, home of the Wildcats. Come to Ken Call Field and have a nice cold sody pop and watch some good baseball. And then the week after we got another 6-7 days of baseball and softball before the tournaments come. Tournaments are coming out. Brackets. I know the brackets for 1A and 2A in baseball are out. I think softball comes out, and I think 3A and 4A get released today or tomorrow.
Okay.
And softball brackets will probably be out at the end of this week. So, if you want to go see some good softball, you have to order your tickets online because that's all the tickets now. There's no game day sales. They all do them online. It's all online. So, you can go, and if you want to watch Bettendorf or PV or North or Central or West or Assumption, North Scott, we got a lot of good teams in the area.
Yeah, we do.
Northeast baseball is pretty good. Wilton softball, I think, beat Muscatine last night.
Oh.
It was Durant.
Gotcha.
But Durant's very good. Muscatine's very good. I mean, we got a lot of good baseball and softball in this area. So you can come and watch tournaments, and we got on the road to Fort Dodge for softball, and I think Sioux City, and I forget where the smaller schools go for 1A and 2A for stay in baseball. But the big 3 and 4A go out to Sioux City this year. So it's going to be a good end of the season. Lots of good baseball and softball.
Love it. He is BrianStocking. Thank you so much for coming in, buddy. I want to thank my other guests as well. We had Andrew Lehman stop by and join us virtually. We had Destiny Brown, Steamwheeler Wednesday. Wheelers are this weekend. Get your John Deere Classic tickets as well. As you heard Andrew Lehman say, probably looking forward to the biggest crowd out there. The attendance will go up again this year. That's what they're expecting, which is awesome as well. So thank you to him as well. And then Greg Armstrong with us as well. So a full show here today and a long show here today, which means I get tomorrow off. I get Friday off. We'll see you guys back here. Enjoy a long weekend. I'm going to. And we'll see you guys back here on Monday for Off the Air. And as we leave you, we want to thank our fantastic sponsors, and you can throw Mobile Party Experience on that graphic as well. We're going to have to change that in the next 4 days and get that up there as well. We want to thank them for allowing us to do this each and every day right here in the Quad Cities. Have a great Wednesday, Quad Cities.